I'm drawn to Forte Labs because your work sits at the intersection of three things I'm deeply passionate about: personal information through practical tools, helping people develop systems that actually work under pressure, and bridging the gap between knowledge and real world application. My background gives me a unique lens for this role. I spent 30 years working with people facing genuine obstacles, from incarcerated teens learning breathwork and mindfulness in a maximum security prison, to nonprofit leaders navigating impossible constraints, to Princeton University students trying to figure out how do they live up to their parents' dreams. What I learned is that the best tools in the world fail if people can't integrate them into their actual lives. And that's exactly what Forte Labs addresses with building a second brain and progressive summarization. I'm particularly drawn to how your approach emphasizes building external systems to free up mental capacity. It aligns perfectly with the anti-fragile framework that I use in my youth development work. We're not just teaching coping mechanisms, we're building systems that make people stronger through challenge. And as someone who's coached everyone from Olympic basketball players to midlife professionals in transition, I understand that customer success isn't about having the perfect answer. It's about meeting people where they are, understanding their actual workflow, and helping them build sustainable practices. And that's what excites me about this role. Helping building a second brain users moving from consuming information to actually transforming how they work. And in looking back on past experiences, um, you know, when I was an executive director at a $14 million nonprofit called Boys and Girls Harbor in Harlem, New York, we inherited a charter school that was failing so badly it was at risk of losing its charter. The teachers were demoralized, parents were furious, and students had essentially given up. The previous leadership had tried throwing technology and curriculum at the problem, but nothing worked because they hadn't addressed the underlying systemic issues. Now, my job was to turn this around within approximately one academic year while maintaining trust with families who had every reason to walk away and students who had every reason to give up. But instead of imposing another top-down solution, I spent the first month just listening, sitting in classrooms, meeting with frustrated parents, which, if you've done that, it's tough. Understanding what teachers actually needed versus what they'd been given. I discovered that the core problem wasn't capability. It was that everyone was drowning in disconnected initiatives with no really coherent system. We implemented what I now recognize as a second brain approach for this school. I created clear, simple documentation systems, established weekly rhythm of review and adjustment, and built in reflection protocols so that teachers could capture and share what actually worked. And most importantly, gave everyone permission to stop doing things that just weren't serving the students. The result is that within less than 18 months, we earned a 5-year charter renewal. But more importantly, I watched teachers go from defeated to energized because they finally had a system that supported their judgment rather than overwhelming it. That experience taught me that struggling customers, defined broadly, often don't need more features. They need help building a sustainable system with what they already have. And that's exactly how I had approached Forte Labs customers. Listen deeply to understand their actual workflow, help them start small with high impact practices, and build sustainable systems that grow with them rather than overwhelm them. Got years of coaching experience, years of teaching experience, years of leadership experience. I can all put all those to use here. All right. Thank you.